Welcome back to your channel, the PBC. It's your boy PB K9s, giving it to you the way I always do. We got an update coming from Newton County. We got a clip coming from Bexar County where a brother was arrested for animal cruelty. And then we're going to talk about the three most important things when it comes to breeding. Hope everybody having a great day across the board, man, from the south, the east, the north, the west, all across the whole country, across the whole globe, man. You know, from one side to the other, like I always say, hope everybody doing what they're supposed to with these pets out here. Y'all hit the like button, y'all hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel yet. Now let's go to Newton County first, where a father and son duo was going to speak about their success in the Newton County Sheriff's Office.
This duo has made history as the first father and son to be elected as sheriffs in Southeast Texas. After 1 year in office, the Havards say the relationship has helped them move faster, share resources, and crack major cases across county lines.
Sometimes the county lines doesn't matter.
The Jasper and Newton County line isn't much of a barrier for criminals, and these two sheriffs say it can't be one for law enforcement either.
It's good to have your son to bounce ideas off of. We've been able to work really close together and able to accomplish a lot the first year, and I think a lot of it's just because of our relationship.
After completing their first year in office, Sheriff Chuck Havard and his son Newton County Sheriff Colton Havard say collaboration has been the key to their success.
When you combine the forces, it's a force multiplier, against the criminal element in the two counties.
That teamwork played a critical role in several high-profile investigations, including Operation Pitbull, leading to the arrest of 45 people at a dogfighting ring in Newton County.
He only had about an hour to get as many people and assets as we could, and a bunch of agencies helped us, but even with everything that we was able to put together in an hour, we still could easily use 10 or 15 more peace officers. But, we used his equipment, our equipment, and so we got the job done.
One of the biggest moments of the year came in the Joshua Larkin murder case. Investigators from both counties worked side by side to make arrest 3 years after his disappearance.
Back in March or April, Jasper County received a pretty substantial tip about the Larkin case. So my investigators and the Jasper County investigators were able to get together and, we were able to make arrests.
While the two counties are different, both sheriffs say they're never far apart.
We're much more rural over in Newton County, but we're always a phone call away from each other.
Sometimes we talk a lot, sometimes we don't, but obviously he knows to call and I'll do whatever, and same with him. And so it's been great, been great, proud of him.
Looking ahead to 2026, both sheriffs say they will continue to focus on reducing violent crime, expanding jail capacity in Jasper County, and cracking down on illegal drugs in Newton County. In studio, Spencer Plato, 12 News.
Now from Newton County, we go to Bexar County, where a man is arrested for animal cruelty. So we're going to get into that clip real quick, and then we're going to get into talking about three most important things when it comes to breeding.
Today on the PBC, we go to Bexar County, where on January 1st, 2026, deputies were dispatched to the 600 block of Cairo Drive regarding a vehicle engulfed in fire. Upon arrival, a deputy observed a severely malnourished tan dog chained to a fence. Deputies contacted Andra Mathis, who was uncooperative and denied involvement with the animals. Through the course of the investigation, deputies identified 3 severely malnourished dogs and more than 60 chickens and roosters confined in cages without adequate food, water, or shelter. Investigators obtained evidence indicating Mathis had previously strangled a dog and had been involved in provoking roosters to fight. This included video evidence provided to deputies, as well as multiple prior 311 reports regarding the animals. During a walkthrough of the property, deputies located 1 deceased bird and another with injuries consistent with cockfighting. The property owner stated Mathis had been working at the residence but denied ownership of the dogs, identifying Mathis as the owner of the chickens and roosters. Mathis denied living at the residence and denied ownership of the dogs but admitted to owning some of the poultry. Based on the evidence and findings of the investigation, deputies arrested Mathis for cockfighting and 3 counts of animal cruelty, non-livestock. Animal control responded and took custody of all animals for safekeeping.
Now let's talk about breeding and how to make the best breeders. We're going to talk about breeding in general. We're not just talking about breeding a red boy dog with a Jeep dog. We're just talking about breeding in general. And I came up with this little system, what I call the PMI system, which is physical, mental, and internal. and we'll start with the physical. When I say physical, I mean anything that has to do with the dog physically, from his muzzle, from his head size, the how much depth he has in between his muzzle and his forehead, his chest, his legs, his feet, his hind end. Does he have a roach back? Does he have hip dysplasia? Does he have hock legs or whatever? Anything when it comes to the physical of the dog. The color of the dog, the how his fur look, anything with the physical. And then you got the mental, which is going to be dealing more with your temperament. So if you got everything, you're looking at this particular dog, and physically he or she is everything you want physically, then you check off that, and I mean go through it all the way physically, not just got the head I want and the muzzle I want and the shoulders I want, but maybe the back end is not what you want, or maybe the feet is not what you want. So look at the physical all the way through, from top to bottom. If that's what you want, check it off, and then move on to the next step. All three of these steps are just as important as the next. Just because I said physical first doesn't mean physical is more important than the mental, or mental is more important than the internal. Like I said, the PMI system, and back in the days we used to have some dog food called PMI. And they still make dog food today. I want to say it's called Red Flannel. It's made by the PMI company. But anyway, now we get into mental, which is your temperament, the way this dog acts. How does dog act with kids? How it acts with people? How does it act when approached with new things? When put in uncomfortable environments. You want to check everything when it comes to the mental. You can't leave nothing off. If you've seen something and you haven't seen that particular attitude in the dog, or that dog acting that particular way, and say he did some early part of the year, but you never see him did it again. Don't leave that off the list. Always keep all that stuff in mind. So once you got your mental checked off, then you move on to your internal. Now we talking about any kind of underlying diseases that your dog or the line of dog or whatever kind of dog you got carries with it, And just because, like we say hip dysplasia may be real heavy in German Shepherd dogs, doesn't mean that, your dog is carrying that. You have to, that's when it goes to paying attention to the father, the mother, the grandparents, the great-grandparents. See if any of these dogs were carrying that particular gene. Because your dog, it may have skipped your dog, but the mother and the father may have had it. Or the mother or the father may have had it, and it skipped your dog, and you think your dog is cool, but he still has the underlying disease or problem with his system. So do your research on that, and once you got the internal check and everything is going check, when you make your breeding, everything should, pretty much be okay for the most part. You got your physical, it was A100 for you. You got your mental, everything was A100, and internally. Many dogs carry underlying diseases that we don't know about because they may skip one, even two generations, especially when we're doing line breeding and heavy line breeding and stuff like that from these dogs from the 90s to this modern day dogs in the pit bull game. This stuff may skip a few generations and it may pop back up in your dog. Just like they always said, and I haven't ran across this myself, but I've seen dogs like this, and especially I've seen some of the old school, more of the older dogs like this. But I've heard some of the Barracuda dogs have had skin problems throughout the days. But then I've heard that sometimes, I've heard it from different people. Everybody gonna have their own opinion on it. I've heard the Barracuda dogs don't necessarily have skin problems, but their skin can't take the dirt as a normal dog can take it. You have to really stay up on them and keep them clean. Where your average dog, you can just leave in the cage and leave on the chain, without washing them as much. you know. And I don't know if this is true, but I'm just using that dog as an example. You know, you got dogs that carry the red mange traits, you know, and a lot of people still don't know what the red mange is. It ain't something you can just go put your sulfur and stuff like that on to get rid of it. When you start seeing your dog spotting up, now you're putting sulfur on them, and the sulfur not even working. You know, he probably have to, or she'll probably have to take antibiotics, you know, to help it. And they still probably take some kind of skin cream or something for the irritation. Sulfur may work a little bit, but it's not gonna stop the problem, you know. So once you got everything checked off from the P to the M to the I, then you're ready to breed. And like I said, this don't matter what breed of dog you're breeding. It can be a house dog, you know, a little pug. It can be anything, a bulldog, a pit bull, a Rottweiler, you know. Like I said, Siberian Huskies. Every dog have their own problems. You know, them Huskies and different things, they have genetic problems. Check the dogs that you're dealing with, the parents, you know what I'm saying? And if you really care about the quality of dog that you're producing or puppy that you're producing, you know, then you can confidently say, oh, I'm giving you a high quality puppy. You know, just because this puppy got a bad pedigree, which means, in other words, I'm saying an awesome pedigree, speaking on pit bulls now, but he got a boatload of health problems that your dog didn't show up with, but the mama and the daddy had them, you know. And other dogs in the pedigree had it, but your dog didn't show up with it. You know what I'm saying? And you really can't help that, you know. But it's always good to know these things about these dogs. That way you know when you go forward with your breeding. You know what I'm saying? Because you could be breeding to a dog that you know has some little skin problems here and there. You know it. But you want to breed to this dog so bad because of the working ability of this dog that you're willing to risk it a little bit, right? Because it don't happen with all his dogs. He just, you know, every other summer he have little skin problems. You know what I'm saying? So you're willing to bypass all that, and then you breed your dog, and your dog got the genes in it. You know what I'm saying? From the mama and the daddy, like I said, and they had skin problems. It just didn't show up in your puppy. But now in your puppy's offspring, you got a dose of it from your mama and your father, and you got a dose of it coming from the dog that you bred to, you know. And that all goes down to making sure that your internal and your 3-step process is checked off. You know what I'm saying? From eye problems to sight problems to hearing problems. You know what I'm saying? Dogs have different things that they carry along with them. This dog badass. Everybody want to breed to him, but he got a boatload of problems he bring with him. You know, and 9 times out of 10, we're gonna say 9 times out of 10, the average dog man is not gonna advertise his dog for the problems. It's not gonna tell you all the problems, you know. And a lot of times he may not even know the problems, you know. So hey man, this is something I wanted to speak about. The PBK 3-step process when it comes to breeding, the PMI system, physical, mental, and internal. You got all them things checked off, you should have a hellified litter, no matter what you're breeding. It's your boy PB K9s. Y'all stay safe, y'all stay legal, and I'm out.
Get your favorite dog trainer and dog news anchor wrapped up in one superhero action figure and comic series. Faster than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, Pelican Bay Kennels presents Captain K9 and his accomplice, Iron Paw. Rescuing dogs around the world from troublesome times and animal abuse, Captain K9 needs your help to fight against the evil crime syndicates. Push the button on the action figure's back, and he speaks PBK9's famous sayings. Some gonna like it, some ain't. That dog bootleg. And you make the news, you made the news.